My husband didn't know the baby monitor was streaming to my phone. It wasn't something I checked often, but that night I tapped the app by accident. And just in time to hear him whisper, "A few drops in her tea, she'll be gone by morning." My blood ran cold, and then a woman giggled. I was sitting outside the hospital, ready for my night shift. My scrub still smelled of lavender sanitizer, but suddenly everything felt wrong. He wasn't alone. He wasn't talking to himself. He was talking to someone who knew, someone involved, and together they were planning my death. The woman's voice came again. "You deserve that insurance payout." Insurance payout? I didn't even know we had a payout worth killing for. My hands trembled around the phone. The whole world narrowed into a single, horrifying truth. My husband wanted me dead. He said, "She will drink it. She trusts me. After tonight, we are free." Free? Free from me? My chest tightened so hard I gasped. For a long moment, I couldn't hear anything else, just the pounding in my ears. When I finally caught my breath, I did the only thing that made sense. I dialed 911 with shaking fingers. The operator listened quietly. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Ma, if this is real, you cannot go home." My throat closed. My eyes stung. Home, the place I thought was safe, the place I shared with him, suddenly felt like a trap. The operator kept speaking, guiding me through what to do. As she talked, I watched the monitor, my husband pacing the living room, checking his watch, pouring something into a mug. He stirred it slowly, like this was a routine, like he'd done it before. And then, he carried the cup toward the stairs, toward our bedroom, toward my side of the bed. A detective called me from the station. He asked calmly, "Do you have reason to believe your husband wants to harm you?" I told him everything, every word, every whisper. Silence stretched on his end. Then, "We are sending a unit. Do not confront him." That was the moment my legs finally gave up. I slid to the floor of the break room, shaking uncontrollably. You know, it hurts more than anything. Not the danger, not the betrayal, but the confusion. Because this was a man who once worshipped the ground I walked on. A man who rushed to the pharmacy when I sneezed, who held me like I was a rare treasure. When did that man disappear? When did a killer take his place? I hadn't noticed, and now I realized maybe that was the scariest part. The detective asked me to keep watching the monitor. So I did. And that's when I saw it. A small brown bottle on the kitchen counter. He held it up to the camera without realizing. A vial, unlabeled, except for one thing. A tiny, faint skull symbol. My stomach flipped. He poured the contents into the cup. I slapped a hand over my mouth to stop a scream. A door opened on the monitor. She walked in, the mistress. She wasn't glamorous or seductive, just ordinary, a woman you'd never suspect. She kissed him. She sat comfortably on my couch. She asked, "Is it ready?" He nodded. They both looked up the stairs, waiting for me.
Then, flashing lights reflected through the living room window. The mistress panicked. "You idiot! You said she was already dead!" He yelled back, "She's supposed to be!" Before they could run, the police burst through the door. My husband froze. The cup fell from his hand. Liquid splashed across the rug. 2 officers pinned him. Another grabbed the woman. As they cuffed him, he looked directly at the baby monitor, right at me, and he shouted, "I should have finished you years ago!" That was the moment something inside me shattered.
When the detective met me at the station, he handed me the vial in an evidence bag. "This is not medicine," he said. "It's ethylene glycol. Antifreeze. Silent. Almost tasteless. Deadly." My knees buckled. He caught me before I fell. Turns out, my husband had done more than increase our insurance. He forged my signature. He added a double indemnity clause. He drained our savings. He planned a grief honeymoon with the mistress. They had flight tickets, hotel bookings, receipts. He was ready for my funeral before I even died. When they allowed me to see him through the glass, he smirked. A cold, dead smirk. I asked one question. "Why?" He said, "Money is simple. You were not." I walked away, and I did not look back. I returned home days later to pack my things. The house felt foreign, like a museum of a life that never truly existed. My wedding ring felt heavy on my finger. I took it off and left it on the kitchen counter, right beside the baby monitor. People often ask how I didn't suspect sooner, but love blinds you. It wraps you in comfort and hides the red flags behind sweet memories. But the truth? Sometimes the greatest danger isn't outside, it's sleeping right beside you. If you learned something from this story, let me know in the comments below. And if you're watching for the first time, don't forget to follow the channel for more real-life stories.